What if the universe we see around us isn't just a backdrop of matter and energy, but a vast, interconnected fabric woven from collective thought? Imagine if reality itself is a shared consciousness, constantly being shaped and reshaped by our collective mind. Stick around as we dive into a fascinating hypothesis. Could it be that everything exists only because we believe it does? This idea challenges what we know about existence and opens up a whole new perspective on how reality might truly work. Stay tuned, because what you think is real might be just a thought away from changing forever. Defining reality and thought. Reality is often considered the sum of what exists outside of our minds: tangible objects, natural laws, other people's behaviors. Yet, from a philosophical perspective, the line separating what is real from what is perceived becomes blurred, especially when considering the role of thought. Thoughts are subjective phenomena. They occur within our minds and are shaped by our perceptions, memories, and beliefs. Some argue that these mental constructs significantly influence how we interpret and experience reality itself. For instance, a person's faith in scientific principles often shapes their understanding of the universe, while an artist's perception might bring a different hue to the same physical scene. When recognizing that our perceptions and thoughts mold our interpretation, it becomes increasingly plausible that what we consider real is, at least in part, a mental creation. The idea that reality might be a collective thought stems from the realization that shared beliefs shape societal structures, laws, and cultural norms. These collective beliefs are, after all, sustained through language, rituals, and repeated practices, modes of thinking that propagate through communities. Take money as an example. Physically, it's just paper or electronic codes, yet its value is a function of collective belief. History is replete with examples where changing perceptions shifted entire realities, such as the shifting borders of nations or the rise and fall of ideologies. These instances suggest that what appears to be an external, fixed reality is deeply intertwined with collective mental fabric. Society's shared thoughts construct and reinforce what we experience as real. In a more individual context, the distinction between thought and reality often dissolves when considering hallucinations, dreams, or mental illnesses, states where mental phenomena take on tangible qualities for the individual. These experiences challenge the notion that there is a clear dividing line between internal thoughts and external reality. If thoughts can produce vivid sensory experiences or alter perceptions so profoundly, it raises questions about the very nature of reality. Are we simply living in a vast mental landscape shaped by collective and personal thoughts? When considering consciousness as a fundamental aspect of existence, some argue that thinking itself is the primary act through which reality emerges. It's as if the universe is a grand, interconnected web of thoughts, with physical phenomena merely manifesting as persistent notions within this collective mental fabric. Historical perspectives on mind and reality. Throughout history, thinkers have debated whether reality exists independently of human perception or if it's fundamentally shaped by the mind. In ancient Greece, Plato proposed the existence of a realm of perfect forms, suggesting that what we perceive is only a shadow of a higher, unchanging reality. For him, the material world was a mere reflection of these eternal ideas, hinting that our grasp of reality is mediated through mental constructs. Meanwhile, Aristotle centered his philosophy on empirical observation, emphasizing that reality could be understood through direct experience, even though he acknowledged the mediating role of the human mind in interpreting sensory data. Fast forward to the Renaissance, and ideas about perception began to shift with the evolution of scientific inquiry. Descartes famously doubted everything that could be questioned, including the very existence of the physical world. His cogito, first think, therefore first am, underscored the primacy of consciousness. For Descartes, reality was essentially a product of the thinking subject, raising the possibility that what we consider external might be a manifestation of internal processes. This line of thinking laid groundwork for later philosophical paradigms that increasingly focused on the mind's role in constructing reality. In the 20th century, developments in quantum physics introduced remarkable questions about the nature of observation and reality. Experiments demonstrated that particles exist in a state of probability until observed, suggesting that the act of measurement influences what is real. The famous double-slit experiment exemplifies this, where light and matter display wave-like or particle-like behavior depending on whether they are being observed. Many interpret these results as evidence that reality, at its most fundamental level, depends on consciousness or collective observation, a perspective that aligns with the idea that reality itself is a form of collective thought. Philosophers and scientists continue to explore this territory, unified by the idea that consciousness might be intricately linked to the fabric of existence. Some modern theories posit that what we perceive as solid and external is actually a kind of shared mental construction, akin to a collective hallucination shaped by neural, cultural, and social processes. These perspectives challenge the traditional view of a universe existing independently from conscious minds, instead suggesting that reality is an interconnected web of collective thought that emerges through shared perception and cognition. This ongoing dialogue blurs the line between mind and matter, making the question of whether reality is just a thought more compelling than ever. The hypothesis of collective thought. The idea that reality might be a product of collective thought challenges the very foundation of how we perceive existence. Within this perspective, the universe is not an independently existing entity, but a shared construct created through the interaction of consciousnesses. Humans collectively shape what is considered real through shared beliefs, cultural narratives, and mutual perceptions. Scientific observations, for example, depend heavily on collective agreement. Measurements are validated not just by individual experimentation, but by international consensus. The act of observing and measuring becomes a sort of collective thought process, constructing a consensus that forms the basis of reality as we experience it. Experiments in quantum physics serve as compelling hints toward this notion. Particles exist in a state of probability until observed or measured, effectively collapsing into a definite state through a collective act of observation. This suggests that reality at a fundamental level might depend on conscious interaction, a kind of collective agreement among observers. When large groups of people share beliefs, such as the idea that the sun will rise tomorrow, those beliefs can influence real-world outcomes through collective expectation and social behavior. Economic markets, for example, often shift unpredictably based on collective sentiment, acting as a macro reflection of a shared mental landscape. This demonstrates how deeply intertwined our thoughts are with the fabric of reality. Philosophers and thinkers have explored this hypothesis from different angles, often drawing from mystical traditions and modern psychology. Concepts like the all is mind philosophy suggest that individual consciousness is just a fragment of a larger, collective mind. The law of attraction and manifestation theories echo the same idea, that collective focus and belief can influence material outcomes. Reality becomes a sort of shared dream, shaped by the collective consciousness that continually edits the narrative of what exists and what doesn't. In this view, individual perception is merely a part of a larger, ongoing process of collective mental creation. Examples from everyday life also support the premise that collective thought influences reality. Social norms, cultural values, and societal laws are all products of collective consensus. When societies change their views on issues such as gender roles or environmental protection, the tangible effects are often seen quickly. Laws are enacted, social practices shift, and new norms form. These shifts demonstrate that what we commonly accept as real, in a societal sense, is deeply rooted in collective mental frameworks. It places the notion that the boundaries of reality are perpetually fluid, shaped by the collective thought patterns of humanity and the shared stories we tell ourselves. Implications and challenges of the idea. The idea that reality might be nothing more than a collective thought challenges our fundamental understanding of existence and shifts the perspective from an external universe to a shared mental construct. If all that exists stems from the collective consciousness, a vast interconnected web of minds influencing what is perceived as physical reality, it blurs the boundary between subjective perception and objective truth. This notion invites a re-evaluation of how we interpret experiences, relationships, and even scientific laws which traditionally assume an external, independent reality. For instance, Consider the placebo effect. It demonstrates how belief alone can produce tangible physical changes, hinting at a powerful mind-over-matter dynamic that could imply reality is, at least partly, shaped by our collective thoughts. However, this perspective also surfaces significant challenges. One major difficulty is explaining the consistency and stability of the world. If reality is a shared mental construct, why do different individuals, with diverse beliefs and backgrounds, perceive the same physical phenomena consistently? The natural world exhibits a remarkable uniformity. Rocks, stars, and planets follow predictable laws that seem indifferent to human thoughts. This consistency raises questions about how a collective thought could maintain such order. Does this imply an underlying shared consciousness that enforces stability, or does it mean that what we perceive as reality is a complex illusion generated by collective agreement? Resolving this tension requires a nuanced understanding of how collective consciousness might operate, if it exists at all. Practical implications also abound if reality indeed hinges on collective thought. It could unlock new avenues for healing, creativity, or even social harmony, emphasizing the power of collective belief. For example, societal movements and cultural shifts often demonstrate how ideas can alter physical circumstances. Think of how shared visions or ideologies can transform cities, inspire technological innovations, or even influence health outcomes. On the flip side, such a model raises questions about manipulation and control. If reality is a collective thought, then those wielding influence over large groups could potentially shape reality itself, leading to ethical dilemmas about consent, autonomy, and the nature of truth. This thought-provoking hypothesis opens a Pandora's box of philosophical, scientific, and moral considerations, emphasizing the need for careful exploration of what it truly means to exist in a universe that might be nothing more than a grand, collective mind game. The idea that reality might be fundamentally shaped by collective thought challenges conventional notions of objective existence. Instead of viewing the universe as a fixed, material entity independent of perception, some philosophical and spiritual traditions suggest that what we experience as reality is deeply intertwined with consciousness and shared beliefs. This perspective finds practical expression in phenomena like the placebo effect, where belief alone can cause real physiological changes, and in collective social constructs like money or national identities, which have no intrinsic value without mutual acknowledgement. Such examples illustrate how collective awareness and shared ideas give form to certain aspects of our world. In more abstract terms, the hypothesis posits that consciousness doesn't merely interpret a pre-existing universe, but actively participates in constructing it. Each individual's perception adds a layer to this ongoing mental collation, which in turn influences the collective mind. For example, mass hysteria or collective panic can rapidly reshape what a community perceives as reality, sometimes causing significant social upheaval. Similarly, cultural narratives, symbols, and paradigms shape individual experiences so profoundly that they can be seen as mental frameworks determining what is accepted as real. Through this lens, the boundary between mind and matter blurs, suggesting that physical reality might be a manifestation of the collective thought energy. Furthermore, this concept raises intriguing questions about the power of intention and belief. If reality is, in large part, a collective thought, then shifts in collective consciousness could potentially alter physical circumstances or societal structures. This isn't entirely far-fetched when considering how social movements and technological innovations originate in shared ideas, eventually materializing into tangible change. Evidence from the realm of quantum physics supports some of these notions. Experiments indicating that particles behave differently depending on whether they are observed imply that observation itself influences reality at a fundamental level. While interpretations of such experiments vary, they bolster the idea that consciousness and thought are intertwined with the fabric of existence. Ultimately, contemplating reality as a collective thought opens endless avenues for reflection. It encourages us to see ourselves not as isolated entities, but as co-creators of the universe, shaping and reshaping our shared experience through consciousness, belief, and intention. Whether or not one fully subscribes to this view, Its implications highlight the profound connection between mind and matter, urging us to consider the power inherent in collective awareness and shared perception. So, as we've explored today, the idea that reality might be a collective thought challenges how we see ourselves and the universe around us. It suggests that our consciousness doesn't just passively observe, but actively shapes what exists. Whether you find this notion inspiring, mind-bending, or a little bit of both, it opens the door to new ways of thinking about your place in the cosmos. Thanks for joining this journey into the nature of existence. If the idea sparked your curiosity, stick around. There's plenty more where that came from. Future videos will delve deeper into consciousness, the fabric of reality, and how our thoughts might influence the world in ways you never imagined. So, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. Who knows, maybe together, we'll keep unraveling the mysteries of our shared existence.